Ancient blacksmiths created weapons so remarkable they seemed magical. From Damascus steel's mesmerizing patterns to meteorite-forged blades, these masterpieces sparked legends of dragon scales and celestial metals. Today we'll uncover the real secrets behind these legendary weapons. The most famous of these legendary metals was Damascus steel, known for its unique wavy patterns that look like dragon scales or flowing water. Blacksmiths in the Middle East made these blades by folding and hammering special steel from India called woots. The process created swords that were not only beautiful, but incredibly strong and sharp. While many people thought these patterns were made by magic, it was actually tiny structures in the metal, formed by careful heating and cooling. The steel contained small amounts of elements like vanadium and chromium, which helped create those eye-catching designs. These swords were so sharp they could reportedly slice a silk scarf in mid-air or cut through other metal weapons. The amazing technology behind woot steel was lost in the 1700s, and modern scientists are still trying to figure out exactly how it was made. The secret wasn't just in the metal, it was in the precise way craftsmen worked with it. They had to heat it to specific temperatures and hammer it in special ways. What made woot steel so special was its perfect mix of hard and flexible properties. The blades could bend without breaking but were still sharp enough to cut through metal. The steel came from unique iron ores found in India, which naturally contained just the right mix of other elements. When the old iron mines ran out and trade routes changed, the knowledge of making woot steel slowly disappeared. Today's researchers use powerful microscopes to study ancient swords, trying to unlock their secrets. While Damascus steel was making waves in the Middle East, Japanese swordsmiths were developing their own amazing techniques. They would fold their steel thousands of times, creating a distinctive pattern called the dragon spine. This method wasn't just for show, it actually made the sword stronger by spreading out any weak spots in the metal. The smiths started with iron sand from Japanese beaches, melted it down, and carefully folded the metal over and over. Each fold pushed out impurities and mixed different types of steel together. The result? A blade with a super hard edge for cutting, but a softer core that could absorb impact without breaking. The famous pattern on Japanese swords came from this mixing of different steel types, creating dark and light layers that looked like a dragon's backbone. Now let's talk about one of history's biggest mysteries, the Viking Ulfberht swords. These weapons were so advanced for their time, they've left modern scientists scratching their heads. Made between 800 and 1000 AD, these swords were crafted from high-carbon steel that shouldn't have existed in Viking Europe. The steel was so pure and strong that it matched modern steel quality, something that wouldn't be possible again until the Industrial Revolution, nearly 800 years later. Each genuine Ulfberht sword was marked with the inscription Ulfberht+T, like a medieval brand name. But here's the really interesting part. This steel likely came from thousands of miles away in the Middle East, traveling along Viking trade routes. Some clever Viking smiths got their hands on this premium material and created weapons that were literally centuries ahead of their time. The final step in crafting these legendary blades involved quenching, rapidly cooling the hot metal to make it harder. While myths tell of swords cooled in dragon's breath or human blood, the real methods were just as fascinating. Ancient smiths used everything from water and oil to the morning dew. In Japan, swordsmiths carefully controlled the cooling rate by coating their blades with clay in specific patterns. This created the famous hamon line, a wavy pattern showing where the steel was harder or softer. Middle Eastern smiths had their own secrets, using special oils and temperatures to give their Damascus steel its incredible strength. They even timed their quenching to the seasons, believing winter's cold water made stronger blades. While legends spoke of dragon bones being used for sword handles, the reality was just as remarkable. Ancient craftsmen used rare materials like narwhal tusks, which many believed were unicorn horns, and mammoth ivory preserved in Arctic ice for thousands of years. These materials weren't just for show. Ivory and bone provided an excellent grip that wouldn't slip when wet with sweat or rain. The most expensive hilts used exotic materials from distant lands: rhinoceros horn from Africa, walrus ivory from the Arctic, and rare woods from tropical forests. Craftsmen would often decorate these materials with gold wire, precious gems, and detailed carvings that told stories of great battles or mighty heroes. When ancient people saw glowing rocks falling from the sky, they thought they were seeing dragon stars or gifts from the gods. These space rocks were actually meteorites, and they contained some of the best iron on Earth. Before humans figured out how to get iron from ore, meteorites were the only source of this metal. Some famous examples include King Tut's dagger and weapons found in Native American burial grounds. This space iron was special because it naturally contained nickel, making it stronger than regular iron. Blacksmiths would carefully hammer these sacred stones into amazing weapons, often saving even the smallest pieces. The metal was so rare and valuable that some cultures thought meteorite weapons had magical powers. The Chinese mastered heat control in ways that seemed magical to outsiders. Their dragon's breath furnaces could reach temperatures hot enough to turn iron into liquid, something European blacksmiths couldn't achieve until centuries later. These furnaces used a clever system of air pipes and chambers that created powerful blasts of air, like a dragon breathing into the flames. Chinese smiths built their furnaces into hillsides, using the natural slope to create better airflow. They also discovered that different types of charcoal and the timing of air blasts could change the metal's properties. By carefully controlling these furnaces, they could make everything from razor-sharp swords to delicate tools. Let's explore how Celtic blacksmiths created some of the most beautiful swords in history. They developed a special technique called pattern welding, where they twisted and folded different types of iron and steel together. This created amazing snake-like patterns that seemed to move in the light. The smiths would take strips of hard and soft metal, heat them until they glowed, then twist them together like rope. They'd flatten these twisted bars and weld them side by side, creating swirling patterns that reminded people of serpents swimming through water. These weren't just beautiful. The mixing of different metals made the swords stronger and more flexible. The Celts believed these patterns showed the sword's spirit, and each blade had its own unique design, like a fingerprint in metal. Let's explore one of the most feared features of ancient swords, the poison groove. While legends claim these channels held deadly dragon venom, they actually served a much more practical purpose. These grooves, also called fullers, made blades lighter without weakening them. Think of how an I-beam is stronger than a solid metal bar. Same idea. Smiths would carefully hammer these channels into hot metal, creating a ridge that ran down the blade. Some cultures did use these grooves to deliver poisons, but most warriors used them to make their swords faster and easier to pull from an opponent. The grooves also help blood flow off the blade, preventing rust and keeping the weapon ready for battle. Modern tests show these clever channels could reduce a sword's weight by up to 35% while keeping most of its strength. Thanks for joining us on this journey through ancient metalworking mysteries. These incredible techniques show just how creative our ancestors were. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to explore more fascinating historical stories with us.